Want to know how to highlight your course's terrain by capturing dramatic shadows? Need help getting that foggy morning look? Today, I'll show you how to do all of that and more on ErixonStone's technical tips for course design. Hello everyone, welcome to ErixonStone's technical design tips. If you like what you see here at the end of the video, please give a like and subscribe. Also, please check out my Twitter feed at ErixonStone and my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/ErixonStone. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. We'll be talking about the lighting and weather available in PGA 2K21. To start, you can see my sun is in here. We'll be talking about how to capture these shadows here and get the lighting to look really, really cool. Get this nice glow on the fairway here. Okay, so let's go check over in the environment settings. So you go to settings menu and go to environment, and we're going to check out the lighting options. And there are 3 lighting options, and this is really going to determine the position of the sun in your course's sky. They work in 3 ways. Time of day is just going to move the sun about its path, right? So this would be early morning, late in the afternoon. This is kind of what it looks like. Okay. When you set up a tournament or a round, there are 5 distinct options, or you can use a designer's default. Default is obviously what the designer is going to publish. All right, so you've got 5 options to set up the time of day when you create a new round or a tournament. And those are dawn, morning, noon, afternoon, and dusk. This is what my course would look like when it is dawn, and this is morning. So you can see the sun's pretty high. And this is what my course would look like at noon. Let's make this roughly noon. This is what my course would look like in the afternoon, and at dusk my course would look like this. So that's the time of day setting. It just moves the sun about its path across the sky. So it'll move in an arc. When it gets closer to noon, the sun will get higher in the sky. When it gets close to dawn or dusk, it'll be lower in the sky. And it'll move generally from east to west. The orientation is just going to spin the plot around. So all this is going to do is move the sun horizontally across the sky around the plot. So you can see the sun's moving. Right around there. There it goes. It doesn't go higher or lower. It just moves. Sometimes it'll get, hide behind, if you have mountains or something in the background, it'll get stuck behind them, just like that. That'll make your course very dark. But if you put it in a valley, it'll look like that. Okay. And the inclination is going to increase or decrease the angle of the arc of the sun. So a higher inclination is going to mean the sun moves across the sky at a higher arc. Lower inclination is going to move the sun at a lower arc and keep it low to the ground no matter what time of day it is. I pulled up a chart here. Let me bring that up. So what I've brought up here is a 3D model of the Earth, and we're going to pay attention to the lower left-hand corner, which is a representation of the sun's path and our plot. You can see the sun move around the axis in this way. Okay, and by changing the time of day, I'm just going to let it rotate, and that's just going to move the sun along the path right around here. And changing the inclination is like moving in latitude. And as I move in latitude and I shrink the inclination, so I have lower inclination, which is this angle here, just like that, you can see the sun takes a path around. This is what the inclination does. It just changes this value. So 90-degree inclination would look like that, and 0 inclination would look like that. Okay, now that we've got the lighting out of the way, let's talk about the weather. In your settings, in the environment and weather, you've got some options here. From set weather, you can set your presets. So you can set it to clear, Add some light clouds, an overcast look, and rainy. So rainy is just going to be overcast with rain. Light cloud is going to be clear with a little bit of haze, but some cloud cover, clear. You can see the difference here between light cloud and clear is not all that different look-wise. Overcast and rainy, just the addition of rain. There's overcast. That's rainy. So those are your presets. Let's talk about what each of these options does. And then I'm going to, in the meantime, turn these down to 0. Let's talk about clouds. So cloudiness is going to increase the number or density of the clouds. Right? It's going to be the higher the cloudiness, the more that the sky is filled with clouds. So here I got a cloudiness of 1. Height is going to change kind of how they appear. They look like they're descending as I lower the height. The clouds look like they're getting closer to the ground. See that? I raise the height, and you can see they seem to move up in the sky. Okay. Scale is going to change the size of the clouds. You can see the clouds just kind of getting a little bit bigger. There's big clouds and small clouds, and as you move along the scale, the texture kind of resets itself. Well, if you drop the clouds really high, you get really big clouds. And if you drop the scale all the way down, you get these slightly smaller clouds. It just changes the way they look here. Okay. Definition is going to make them either darker or lighter. As I get high, they get really dark. If I go all the way down here, they get kind of light and wispy and airy. So just give you a different look about the clouds. With 0 definition, you can see this kind of area here, right up in here at the top. It kind of just gets, covered by some fuzzy clouds. Here, they get more defined where they have sharper edges. You can see this is a really clearly defined gap between the clouds right here. Okay, the period, what this does is determine how fast across the sky that the clouds are going to move. Now, high clouds, you can change their height, and if you have a height of 1, you can see as I lower these, the high clouds, they'll get a little lower in the sky as I'm lowering this. Thickness will control how much of the clouds you actually see. And you can see as I get to the bottom of the scale, the clouds in this area disappear. All the way down, some clouds, thicker clouds, even thicker clouds, just like that. The difference between clouds and high clouds is that high clouds will never block the sun. So if you want to add just a little bit of cloudiness and definition to the sky without affecting the lighting in any way, high clouds is a good way to do that. Rain simply turns the rain on and off, so you can create something like this. This is a sun shower. It's raining. There's not a cloud in the sky. Haze is going to dissipate the sun. So you can see as it increases the haze, you can see the light from the sun being scattered a lot in the sky. And eventually, if you go to full haze, it'll give you this really dark look. And if you look away, turn this around, you'll get a very dark, almost nighttime sky type of look. Fog. Let's talk about fog density and fog ceiling. I'm going to increase the fog ceiling to this level here, roughly halfway up. And fog density will do something very similar to the sun. Now, the only difference with fog density and fog itself is the effect is limited to a narrow band between the sun and the core. So it'll have a more dramatic effect. So I'm going to just increase the fog density super high, but then I'm going to take the fog ceiling and lower it. And as you can see, as I lower the fog ceiling, the way that the light is being scattered changes. And if I go with a really low fog ceiling, you can see that the sky has gotten clear, but I still have fog at the ground level. This is a good way to add more of a ground fog, fog that rises, give you that early morning misty look. And if I drop the fog ceiling all the way underneath, then the fog just goes away, even though the density is 1. So if you want to add a little bit of fog to the ground, this is a good way to do it. Now at the beginning of this video, I said that I would show you how to get the shadows, or really accentuate the shadows on the course using the lighting. And one of the best ways to do this, we go to the environment, weather. We're going to set the weather to clear, right? That'll just give us the most sun. We're actually going to turn off the haze as well. We're going to make it even clearer than that. And you have this shadow here. So you'll always get this shadow coming in from behind the bunker. Like that, as long as you have a high side, low side. So in the case, like you look here, this bunker here, I'm going to capture the shadows. And the way to do that is in your environment lighting. You want to make sure that you have a fairly low inclination. You can increase this a little bit to your liking if you want to have something higher. I've got it at a very early morning time of day, so if I was to try to 9 o'clock, I would lose a lot of that definition. By keeping a low inclination, I can keep the definition, keep the shadows, even when the time of day changes. So right now I'm using 9:22, so I'll make it 9 o'clock just so that it matches the morning setting. If someone wants to create around and set the time to morning. Okay, you can capture the shadows here and capture the shadows here, just like that. The drawback to this is, of course, when looking in the opposite direction, you do get these bunkers, especially with the texture I've chosen here, that have quite a bit of like a washed out or the glowy look. One way to avoid this and still capture the shadows is we set the weather, and we'll just use an overcast lighting for now. We'll turn the fog ceiling up a little bit and the fog density up, and we're going to turn haze down. Get rid of the haze. And then what we'll do is go into settings, environment, lighting, go back to 730 ish, and we can even increase the inclination if we want, or decrease the inclination, just to capture more of those shadows. And because I've set the haze and the fog, the way I lose a lot of that washout effect of this bunker, which is a very flat bunker. So even when I look at it this way, I don't get quite the washout. Another thing you can do with that lighting is if I go to settings and core settings and I choose a bunker texture that is a little bit grayer, I won't get a look that says washed out as what I had. So I can go environment and lighting and increase my inclination back. And because I've got overcast look to it, I still capture the shadows to highlight the bunker edges, but I don't have a super washed out look going in the opposite direction. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, then give it a thumbs down. If you want to see more content just like this, then click the subscribe button below. Be sure to check out my other content on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/ErixonStone and follow me on Twitter at ErixonStone. Until next time, happy designing!